Welcome back to MFO, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. And I want you to picture this. You're in this situation. You are about to fish for maybe up to $300,000, at least $100,000 grand prize. And your big bass today could be worth $10,000. Tomorrow it could be worth $30,000. And on the final day, it could be worth $100,000. And you're going to go out and do that against a small field of competitors. The thing is, you're not fishing out of your boat. So all of a sudden, the electronics that you're used to, the trolling motor that you're used to, the boat itself that you're used to, the brand of boat that you're used to isn't the same boat. Think about that. We're going to talk about that in more detail when we come back, because that's what the guys on the Major League Fishing Heavy Hitters Tournament are dealing with, because they're fishing out of league boats. We'll talk about all the intricacies of that when we come back. Welcome back to Mark Fisher Outdoors, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher. The guys are out there fishing the Major League Fishing Heavy Hitters Tournament, and I love this tournament. I love it from the perspective of knowing what's on the line. A big bass is worth 10 grand on the first couple of days. It gets up to today when I was watching it, and my buddy Matt Steffen won $30,000 for catching a 515 big bass on the knockout round of the heavy hitters. What a great event. I'm telling you, I was nervous for him watching it as the clock is ticking down and he's still got that big bass, and you're just waiting for somebody else to catch one that's 6 pounds and knock him out. It's amazing the tension that you feel, and you gotta imagine those guys feel that same tension. But think about having to do this out of a strange boat. Fishing league boats means that they go out and practice using their own boats. So they have to tow their boat all the way to Virginia, and then they practice for a couple of days using their own boat. But I mean, I keep putting myself in this position. If I'm doing that, my electronics are Humminbird. So now I've got to transfer all my Humminbird waypoints over to a Lowrance unit. That's a pain. I've got to learn how to figure out how to use a Lowrance unit versus a Humminbird. I've got to use a Ghost trolling motor or a Move trolling motor versus an Ultrex. I'm in a Nitro or a Ranger versus a Phoenix. Matt was telling me on the day that he got his first boat, he was in a Nitro. He didn't even know where the drain plug was. He literally had to go ask somebody where the drain plug was in the boat because he couldn't find it. I mean, we all know that there's a drain plug, but how to get it and how to make sure it's in, he literally had to ask for help to do that. And guys were having, and I saw on the first day, there were issues related to, how do you work these graphs? How do you work the trolling motors? And because they're league boats, you're preparing your equipment and having to bring it all and then put it into a new boat. I saw guys on the first couple of days that all of a sudden they realized they didn't bring a pair of pliers with them. And these are things that we would normally have in our boat. We know exactly where they are. Meanwhile, these guys are opening up the deck lid, pulling out a cardboard box and rummaging through their supplies to find a pair of pliers or a pair of split ring pliers or scissors or something like that. All the little things that on a tournament day, you go, oh yeah, I know where I keep that. I keep that here in my boat. You don't have that. Meanwhile, you're fishing for $100,000 and possibly $100,000 big bass or whatever. The tension has just got to be amazingly difficult to deal with, and yet these guys are out there doing it. It's just, to me, I laughed, and what made me think about this was watching on the first day when one of the competitors went to turn his boat on and he reaches down to the right And he's like, oh no, I'm not in my boat anymore. And he goes to the left and turns the key on the nitro. Just starting your boat is different. And again, when you add all that kind of pressure, I'm curious as to how would you guys react to that? And guys, don't forget that this is on top of the fact that the morning of or the night before, they're basically loading all of their stuff into this new boat to get it prepped and ready for the next morning. And then if they make it to the next round, they might get lucky like Matt did and be able to keep the boat for the next day, or they might have to unpack everything and put it into a new boat for the next day. When they were fishing, day one on, day two off, when they were fishing day one on, day two off, on for day three, they were having to pull all of their stuff out for the other guys to be able to fish. And so they had to pull all of it out, wait until day three to go back in and put it in. If you fished day 4 and you made it to day 5, you got to keep the same boat. And I'm sure that the guys who fished today will be able to keep the same boat going into the final day. But just a lot of additional kinds of behaviors that you got to deal with on a big money tournament like that. I give them a lot of credit. I'm also going to tell you that, and again, I'm kind of switching over to heavy hitters. Love watching heavy hitters because of the money at stake and because of just the skill, but also the fact that even though some of the guys at the top are using forward facing, being able to spend the day and watching these guys fishing the bank, making those casts that they're doing, watching the way these guys can fish from either the right hand or the left hand, skipping baits underneath low-hanging branches and in tight cover. That's the kind of thing that we love watching, and that's the kind of thing that I really miss when forward-facing sonar is dominating an event. And it's certainly not dominating. Not saying it's not being used, but it's not dominating. And there's some real live fishing going on here. Good luck to Matt Steffen and all the other guys on the Heavy Hitters Tournament tomorrow. Tomorrow is the final day, and I should say today because this is the day you're watching that. But guys, send me your comments. Let me know what you think of that. It would throw me for a loop. I'm telling you that for sure. Love to hear what you have to say about it. We'll be back tomorrow for another episode of Mark Fisher Outdoors. Take care, everybody.